After her racist attack on Caitlin Clark went viral and the WNBA attempted to ignore it, Brittney Griner finally received justice in the most horrible way imaginable. The ideal punishment was just administered by karma.
Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittney Griner plays. Now you tell me what it looks like Brittney Griner is saying here.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
For a little bit of context, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittney Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever would go on to win by 5. Now I'm going to tell you what I think she said. Let's play it back. Looks to me like she is saying trash and then calling Caitlin Clark a plebe white girl. Just a reminder, this is who Joe Biden traded for the Russian merchant of death. So many WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark so much when she is the best thing that could have happened to the league. And she's not the best thing that happened to the league because she's white.
The league, which had been protecting her for weeks, recently made a move that completely alters the situation. Griner may have reached the end of his career. It's more enjoyable to witness Griner suffer consequences for her racist remarks than it is to see these WNBA suddenly develop a backbone and really police its own rules. In all honesty, she deserved every bit of what is coming. The long-awaited moment has finally arrived, and Brittney Griner is about to discover that her actions have the most agonizing consequences. Following weeks of the WNBA acting as though they were unaware of her racist attack on Caitlin Clark, the league administration recently revealed a shocking revelation that has shocked the basketball community. The same company that went to great lengths to shield Griner from responsibility has now been compelled to act, with disastrous consequences.
If you want to get people never to watch the WNBA, this is an amazing way to do it. If the league is going to be rooted in this sort of nastiness with regard to its only real star, good luck to them. Well, folks, the left has a real problem in the United States. They've spent the last several decades talking about how racism is an endemic problem in American life. And there's a problem with that problem, which is there's not.
Let's begin by discussing the actual causes of this instantaneous karma. After fouling out of an Indiana Fever game against Clark, Griner was captured on tape verbally abusing a white girl.
Griner was caught on tape during a game with the Indiana Fever, dropping racial slurs against Caitlin Clark, and pretty obviously doing so.
Fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
And it doesn't take a lot of genius to lip read Brittney Griner, whose voice, by the way, is about as low as mine is, calling her trash and an effing white girl. Now, of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever suggested the same in reverse, using black as opposed to white in that sentence, that'd be the end of her WNBA career. But Brittney Griner is going strong. It's totally...
The video was indisputable. Many specialists verified the lip reading, and anyone with working eyes could see the discriminatory intent. However, in order to save their valuable veteran player, the WNBA moved into full damage control mode rather than taking quick action. The league suddenly became selectively blind after opening investigations into alleged racism by Indiana Fever supporters. They disregarded the evidence, downplayed the concerns, and thought the problem would simply go away when one of their own celebrities was exposed as being genuinely racist on national television. However, karma has a way of ensuring that the truth is out. Additionally, Griner's defense scheme just collapsed spectacularly.
What else happened to everybody else?
I mean, I know there's always consequence to actions. You know, what I did, I already know that I was going to get, some time for that. And, I respect, I got 3 games. Okay. I'm not disputing that at all. Do I think that it should have just been 3 across the board? Boom, everybody involved in it, 3-3-3? I think that would have been, honestly, fair. I would have been happy today with that. Not happy today. And it's not because of my suspension. I'll take on it.
Griner's recent contract ban is not the result of a single event. It concerns a pattern of conduct that the league is no longer able to overlook or justify. This is the same athlete who expressed dissatisfaction with crowd noise because, for once, spectators were paying attention to sports. This is the same individual who was freed from an international prison only to go on to disparage other American athletes in a racist manner. Her ingratitude and entitlement have finally caught up with her.
Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
Or the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this with Brittney Griner, right? And then the other quote, Rob, then I'm going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go to Adam. Put the quote of Brittney Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called a freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game.
Griner will suffer severe financial consequences as a result of this suspension. She's losing more than just game checks. After this issue, she is losing sponsorship arrangements, endorsement chances, and any chance to repair her reputation. The United States lost a convicted arms dealer as a result of the prisoner swap that returned her home, and her reaction has only been resentment and animosity toward the nation that spared her. Every dollar she loses serves as a reminder of how much she lost in a fit of racist rage. Here's what makes this karma so ideal, though. The WNBA's decision coincides with the fact that they can no longer afford to shield troublesome players. The league has received previously unheard of levels of attention and cash because to Caitlin Clark and casual fans who learn through Clark that racist behavior from seasoned players who ought to know better will not be accepted in women's basketball. In the end, the political argument for protection was defeated by the commercial rationale for accountability. Social media was immediately rocked by the suspension announcement since most people thought Griner was invincible. Throughout her career, she had endured racist remarks, accusations about fan fervor, and an all-around entitled mindset. Even protected athletes have limitations to what they can get away with, as evidenced by the fact that consequences eventually caught up with her. The long-standing barrier of victimization has finally broken down for her.
Adam Johnson. BG, right now you have 10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream is being very... Right now she's talking to the refs about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys. Very important question.
This punishment is especially upsetting because it coincides with the WNBA's attempt to leverage Clark's rise. Television networks and sponsors don't want to be connected to athletes who make racist remarks on national television. At last, the league administration recognized that it was more expensive to protect Griner than to penalize her. Griner's bigoted actions were getting too costly to ignore, and money talks. It seems that the regular player agreements, which no one bothered to carefully study, always contained the contract language that permitted this punishment. All along, the WNBA had the authority to act. They simply decided not to utilize it until the financial strain became unbearable. This explains their initial passivity until the financial strain became unbearable. Their initial inaction is therefore the more unacceptable. And even more pleasant was this final chastisement. Delayed justice is still justice, but it's much sweeter because of the delay. Griner's teammates and fans are rushing to protect her, but when they are questioned, their claims crumble. They contend that seasoned players should be given more consideration, that the evidence was inconclusive, and that the suspension was unfair. However, none of those justifications alter the reality that she was recorded on live television making racist remarks against the best athletes in the league. There is no amount of spin, and the video footage is very clear, can alter what each person viewed with their own eyes. Since Clark supporters have been calling for accountability for weeks, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. They looked into alleged racism by Fever supporters while watching the WNBA defend Griner. After a time of blatant prejudice and double standards, this suspension feels like justice has finally been served. People in the basketball world were beginning to doubt the league's dedication to its declared principles. Thus, there is a noticeable sense of relief. This punishment creates a significant precedent for the WNBA's future. It conveys the idea that no player is above C, repercussions irrespective of their standing or prior league contributions. For professional sports organizations to remain credible with sponsors and fans, that is precisely the kind of accountability they require. At last, there is a significant challenge to the culture of favoring some athletes over others. Because it makes reporters face their own prejudice in reporting the story, the media's portrayal of Gurrier's suspension has been especially harsh. At first, several media sources minimized or completely disregarded the racist remarks. They now have to justify why they didn't demand accountability earlier and more forcefully. The credibility gap between media coverage and fan expectations has never been more obvious. Gurrier's financial situation is not limited to her WNBA contract. Endorsement agreements are being discreetly canceled, speaking engagements are being canceled, and prospects for future income are disappearing. She will bear the consequences of her racist remarks for years to come, which is precisely what happens when public personalities breach these boundaries. Racist behavior is not tolerated in corporate America, especially when it is captured on camera.